Hello, everyone. This is Robert Berry.
Alberto Gomez Monterroyos.
Ashley Herrick.
Scott Fine.
James William Clark.
Jenna Manabusin.
We are Time Zone Interactive.
As a team consulted with one another, we realized that there are several things that we will change, knowing everything that we know now. Take a look.
If I knew back when we first formed this team what I know now, I think that the team would have devoted more time to the actual finished project that we were striving to make in the first place. We didn't really touch the final proposal until week 3, which resulted in us having to almost rush through the whole production of it. Unfortunately, this also meant that our producer spent way more time than she probably should have trying to simply get the actual Prezi up and running to begin with. But truth be told, the most important thing a team would probably try to improve if we could start over would be our communication. Generally speaking, of course. Our communication was usually effective, but sometimes, as Eddie put it, it was like we spoke different languages to each other. He would start trying to equate something to Mario 64, and I would tell him, but I've never played this before. And then he would need to figure out a way to best relate what he was trying to tell me to something else. In this regard, we could help our communication by coming together and not only telling each other about our individual experiences with games, but actually making some as a team in some games that we all enjoy. It creates a whole new environment or atmosphere to be in, which results in improved communication through better chemistry. But I would also like to add that as much as our team did indeed horse around with each other, I think to further add to our communication that we probably all could have made our relationships with each other a little bit more personal or friendly instead of trying to retain a quasi-relaxed professional demeanor throughout most of the meetings.
For such an awesome team as ours, I think one of the things that we could have done if we were to go back in time and do the class over again would be to meet more outside of our scheduled team meetings. What I mean by getting together outside of team meetings is for us to maybe play games together so that we can develop camaraderie. Perhaps uh, discuss our history in games so that we know what games the other person has played so that when we talk to them we don't talk about a game they've never played. When we could have shown each other different games, we could have suggested games, we could have talked more and more and more and developed a language, a heuristic language for game design for our team. I believe that when you're this involved and this in such a tight knit group like this, it's really important to have that language, the sort of like secret code language just for your team. The other step I would take would be to maybe perhaps try and get our work out of the way faster. We spend too much time during meetings in between making decisions, just kind of getting to know each other and playing around. And um, I think that if we could have just gotten through it all and then spent time getting to know each other, there might have been a little bit less resistance at the end of the meetings to finish up. These are minor things, and along with getting to know each other outside of the meetings, I believe that it would have overall allowed for a more dynamic and interesting conversation and relationship and communication for our team.
In the rules and whatnot we set up in the very beginning of this class, along with the charter in the beginning of the week, we decided that we would have an agenda for each of the meetings. This agenda, as we called it, was meant to be a sort of guideline of items we need to discuss at each of the meetings. Now, it started off in a Google Doc and was available for anybody anytime to add anything they wanted. And it was a really nice idea. It would have worked well if we were able to actually stay on topic with it during the meetings. What happened was we would start off meeting on the agenda, and then we would start discussing other things, and it would go on tangent, 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 and we would end up talking about something completely irrelevant to our topic or what we were trying to discuss. So, what would have been a good idea for us to do from the very beginning would be to have stuck better to the agenda, because we had a certain amount of minutes designated that were supposed to be for each part of the agenda. I think that we should have stuck in better to the agenda, and if we couldn't figure something out right then, we should have done what we decided with that we would do, which would be to table it and come back to it later.
We started this class off very hard. Or, well, we had to get to know each other and get our assignments together, and it was pretty time consuming, and we met every day. And if we had to change anything that we did, it would probably be how we went about getting to know each other. We relied on the meetings that we had to get to know each other instead of relying on maybe outside meetings to really understand who we were, and also the attitude the first week was not probably the best because we didn't know each other, so we were all really closed up and not open. If we had to do it again, we would probably have a better attitude the first time around. Probably like making sure everyone got to know each other and everyone was more involved in the meetings, and taking time out outside of the meetings to like plan other events, social gaming, anything along that lines, to really know who each of us was. And it probably would have helped us more in the beginning weeks, and it would have made us more prepared for other weeks that required us to not have as much communication, and it was something that we would probably change.
If our team knew at the start of this class what we knew now, we would have planned better for the following weeks to come and approached our assignments differently. By planning better, I mean starting earlier and focusing more on the proposal part of our assignments. By week 1, we would have been researching what exactly goes into a proposal, studying examples of them, coming up with and finalizing ideas of our own, as well as practicing with Prezi a lot more, so that by weeks 2 and 3, we would know exactly what we would be researching, what we would be presenting, and how to use the tools we would be presenting it with. For our team, this was a learning experience in which we learned by doing. Most of us had never been in a situation like this before, and the newness of being in a remote team, coupled with the unfamiliarity of the demanding tasks, caught us off guard, and we found ourselves unprepared for some of the challenges that we faced. We didn't know exactly what to expect in the following weeks to come, and so did not fully comprehend in how to prepare for it. We did our best with what we had, and we pulled through together with flying colors. But, having gone through it, if given the opportunity to go back and do things differently, we would have changed the way we approached things by starting earlier in the preparations for the later tasks rather than focusing all of our efforts on the task at hand. So when the time arrived to complete those tasks, we'd have a better understanding and a game plan of how to do so.
On my part, there will be two things. One will be setting clear ground rules and coordination with the charter. And that basically just entails making sure that the rules are set from the very beginning, which is actually the purpose of the charter, and then being able to change the charter or have the charter grow as we grow as a team. Basically, making changes to the way that we make decisions or ways that we may handle conflict. The second thing is actually setting clear expectations of one another. And that's basically just ensuring that each member of my team understands what I expect of them, and I understand what each member of my team expects of me. This is not only going to enhance the quality of the work, but it's going to make sure that the meetings are worth it and that they provide insight for each team member if they're confused, and that everyone is on the same foot and trying to reach the same goal. Once everyone knows what is expected of each other and what their team expects of them, everyone will perform at their highest standards. The third thing that I would change if we can do it all over again would be to come together as a group and edit the projects together. We did this in week 1 with the charter to great results, and then in week 2, 3, and 4 we took a different approach. We kind of split the work amongst each other and then came back, and then it made it harder for 1 or 2 people at the end to kind of make everything meld together. But in week 1 we all sat together as a team and made it all meld together at the same time, in real time. And I feel that this approach worked much better than splitting the work apart and everyone coming together almost at the end of the week to basically hand in their work to the producer, whose then job it is to kind of meld everything into one. This has definitely put a strain on a team member when I felt that that could have been a strain that the team can handle together.
Thank you for watching. This has been Time Zone Interactive Studios.
It's astounding. Time is fleeting. Madness takes its toll. But listen.